So, good morning everyone. We'll start with the last lecture, last session. So, in the last session, we have studied about the different diseases associated with the metabolic, diseases associated with the acid-base imbalances, that is metabolic acidosis, alkalosis, respiratory acidosis, alkalosis, and some compensatory responses. Now, to diagnose these diseases, you need to have a report of arterial blood analysis. It is called as ABG report or ABG analysis. This ABG report, you should be able to read it properly. Read it means what? You should be able to interpret that particular report. So in today's session, we will see something about this ABG report. What are the normal parameters and how to report these interpret these reports, and then we will see something about Anand gap also. So in the theory lecture, I have covered that point Anand gap, but very in short way I have covered it. Today we will see the importance of Anand gap, and this Anand gap can be asked as a short note also during this theory paper, and this Anand gap can be asked as a important question in the cabin bio also. So now this starting with this today's session, arterial blood gas analysis and acid-base imbalances. So in the last session, I have told you the importance of analyzing the arterial blood gases. So arterial blood gas analysis is helpful in the assessment of patients' gas exchange, ventilatory control, and acid-base balance. Three things can be covered. So assessment of these three things can be done with the help of ABG report. Now the normal serum electrolyte and arterial blood gas values are like this. In this ABG report, what we can see is the pH. We can have the bicarbonate level, lead level, potassium level, sodium, PO2 and PCO2. That is partial pressure of oxygen and partial pressure of carbon dioxide. The normal blood pH 7.4. Bicarbonate level should be 22 to 26 millimole per liter. Chloride level should be 96 to 106 millimole per liter. Potassium should be 3.5 to 5 millimole per liter. Sodium can be 136 to 145 millimole per liter. Partial pressure of oxygen should be around 95, and partial pressure of carbon dioxide should be around 40. The range is given for PCO2 as 35 to 45, and for oxygen it is 85 to 100. So these are the parameters which we can see on the ABG report. Based on these parameters, you can diagnose the case, whether it is a metabolic acidosis or alkalosis or respiratory alkalosis or acidosis. Now this thing in elaborated manner I have given to you. This is for arterial blood and this is for venous blood. This arterial and venous blood gases. Normally, the difference is in the oxygen saturation, and that is PCO. What happens is during examination, if we keep arterial blood gas analysis to you routinely, this should be the thing that you should be able to answer. Sometimes venous blood report is like this, that you should know, because what happens sometimes is while collecting blood for ABG analysis, by mistake this blood can be collected, and these are the parameters, and if you see these parameters, they are quite different as compared to this arterial blood. So you should know if such things are there, this can be a venous blood also, that you have to see. So this is not very important to you people, but just to compare between the arterial blood and venous blood, different blood gases, what are the normal findings which are there in the arterial blood and the venous blood. So these are the following, these are the advantages for ABG analysis, arterial blood gas analysis. Remember, when you are using this report, arterial blood gas analysis, the blood should be collected from artery. Remember this thing, not venous blood should not be there. Now this particular ABG analysis, there are certain advantages. What are they? It helps in establishing the diagnosis. The treatment plan also is decided with the help of this report. When to keep the patient on ventilator or not, and how to manage the ventilatory things can be done with the help of this ABG report. When the patient is admitted in the hospital, on day one or at the time of admission, you collect the arterial sample and do this analysis. You have the report, and once the treatment is given to the patient after diagnosis of the disease with the help of this report, once the treatment is given to the patient, you can monitor your treatment, whether your treatment is going on in the right direction or not, whether the patient is improving or not. So diagnosis of a disease, then giving treatment to the patient, then its ventilatory management, and also the monitoring of the treatment can be done with the help of ABG analysis. So this is a cabin Viva question. So with the help of this ABG report, what all things you can achieve? No doubt you can achieve the assessment. You can assess the patient with respect to three factors that I already told you. But along with that, you should be able to tell that with the help of this analysis, we can establish a diagnosis. Once the diagnosis is established, with the help of this report only, you can plan a treatment. After planning a treatment, the ventilatory management can be decided with the help of this ABG analysis report, and you can monitor whether your treatment is going on in the right direction or not, whether the improvement in the patient is there or not with the help of this ABG analysis. For that, you have to routinely collect the sample daily so that you can monitor the treatment. And this particular thing is very important when the patient is critically ill. So this arterial blood gas analysis report, depending on this, how you can diagnose the thing and what all the parameters that you should look for. As I have already told you, if you are dealing with the metabolic thing, you should look for the bicarbonate. If you are dealing with the respiratory thing, you should look for the carbonic acid or PCO2. Now in the ABG report, you don't have this value, that is carbonic acid thing. What you have to look for is about the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. So when you classify the thing, this is the primary change is associated with the metabolic acidosis, alkalosis, respiratory acidosis, and alkalosis. That is, in metabolic acidosis, as I told in the last lecture, you have decrease in the concentration of bicarbonate. In metabolic alkalosis, you have increased bicarbonate. But this is a primary change. So to this particular change, how body responds by certain compensatory mechanisms. So if you have decrease in the plasma bicarbonate level, body will try to hyperventilate and try to get rid of extra amount of carbon dioxide which is accumulated in the body. So the after compensation, what you will have is decrease in the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. So this compensatory change you should know. So whenever case of metabolic acidosis is there, you have decrease in the bicarbonate. This is a primary change, and after some time, what you can see or you can appreciate is the patient is hyperventilating, and due to hyperventilation, whatever excess amount of carbon dioxide is there will be removed or washed out of the body, and the patient will have decrease in the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Same is true with the metabolic alkalosis, where you have increased bicarbonate level, patient will have hypoventilation, and due to metabolic acidosis, and the PCO2 level will rise. Similarly, in the respiratory acidosis, these are the changes. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide is more in those patients, and this is compensated by increased renal reabsorption of bicarbonate. So you have rise in bicarbonate level. And in respiratory alkalosis, partial pressure of carbon dioxide is less, and here renal reabsorption of bicarbonate will decrease. So these are the compensatory mechanisms. These are the mechanisms which are due to these primary changes. So remember this thing. So students always remember these are the primary changes which are associated with these many disorders. And to this particular primary change, how body responds? It responds by doing such compensation. So these are the compensatory mechanisms which are associated with the primary changes in all the 4 major diseases of acid-base balances. So remember this thing, metabolic acidosis decrease PCO2 is due to compensatory mechanism. Otherwise, PCO2 level are normal or raised in patients with the metabolic acidosis, but you have normal buffer system working, you have the respiratory system which is normal, and you have the kidney which is normal. If all these 3 things are normal, body will use all these 3 mechanisms or regulatory mechanism, defense mechanism to restore the pH towards the normal, and in doing so, body will have hyperventilation, the person will have hyperventilation with increase in the rate and depth of respiration, and consequently, as a result of hyperventilation, the PCO2 levels are decreased. Remember this. So this is how you should be able to explain when you are dealing with the this compensatory mechanism associated with various diseases in the cabin viva. Now this is another entity that you should know. It is anion gap. The concentration of anions and cations in the plasma must be equal to maintain the electrical neutrality. Therefore, there is no real anion gap in the plasma, and this anion gap is not a physiological reality. Remember this thing. You should have both cations and anions in equal quantity. But what happens is, the concept of anion gap originally was developed when it is found that if the sum of chloride and bicarbonate values was subtracted from sodium and potassium values, there is a difference, and this difference is approximately 16 millimole per liter in healthy individuals. And this because chloride and bicarbonate, they together form one type of ions. Sodium and potassium form another type of ions. You should have both anions and cations. The equal quantities of both the things should be there. But if you have the actual values of all these 4 entities, and you do the sum of chloride and bicarbonate, and you have the sum of sodium and potassium. So, and if you subtract this thing, what you can appreciate is a difference. This difference in the value is approximately 16 millimole per liter in healthy individuals. So, if you calculate this thing, this sodium plus potassium, you have this thing 146, chloride plus bicarbonate, you have 130. And if you subtract this particular sum from this sum, you will have a difference of 16 milliequivalent millimole per liter. And this is called as anion gap. So this is called as anion gap. Always remember that most important unmeasured cations, they are calcium, magnesium, and unmeasured anions are albumin, phosphate, sulfate, and other organic anions. So these things you should take into consideration when you are calculating the anion gap, but their quantity is very less, and these are unmeasured cations and unmeasured anions which are present in our body. And that's why if you consider all these things, the anion gap range is between 8 to 16 millicurie. Remember this thing, this is 8 to 16. So whenever a question is asked to you during cabin viva, what is anion gap? So the answer should be that when you calculate or when you do the sum of sodium, potassium, and chloride and bicarbonate, and you subtract chloride, bicarbonate from sodium, potassium, you will have certain difference, and this is approximately 16 milliequivalent. But at the same time, there are certain few unmeasured cations also, few unmeasured anions also, and if you calculate all these things, this forms a range that is 8 to 16. So anion gap is approximately 8 to 16 milliequivalents. Now, remember this thing, why this anion gap is important? Because this anion gap is important because any alteration in the anion gap is almost always associated with the acid-base disorders. Is almost always associated with the acid-base disorder. That's why we calculate chloride, sodium, potassium, bicarbonate in the ABG report. Are you getting it? In the ABG report, that is arterial blood gas analysis, if you see the parameters of all these things, what you will get is you are calculating. If you see this in this particular diagram, in this particular to appreciate the thing, you are calculating bicarbonate, you are calculating chloride, you are calculating potassium. So these anions you are measuring in the arterial blood gas values, because any changes in these entities is associated with the change in the pH. That means is associated with the acid-base imbalances, that is alkalosis or acidosis. So remember this thing. So this is the significance. And always remember, in metabolic acidosis, the anion gap can increase or remain normal depending on the cause of acidosis. So the next question which can be asked in the Kevin Viva is what happens in the metabolic acidosis. Generally, whenever we ask questions related to acid-base imbalances or acid-base disorders, we ask in relation to metabolic acidosis. If you are able to answer the things well, we see that or we appreciate your studies, and we can have a thing that you are knowing the alkalosis part well. So if you understood metabolic acidosis, other things will not be asked. So remember, this is favorite question. What happens in the metabolic acidosis? What happens to anion gap in the metabolic acidosis? And in metabolic acidosis, the anion gap can increase or can remain normal depending on the cause of acidosis. So metabolic acidosis associated with the increased anion gap. So which all conditions are associated with the increased anion gap? So there are certain conditions which are associated with the increased anion gap, and there are conditions which are associated with the normal anion gap, but with metabolic acidosis. So in metabolic acidosis, plasma bicarbonate is reduced, that you know well. To keep electron neutrality, the concentration of anions, either chloride or unmeasured anions, must increase, because to have the electrically neutral atmosphere, we must know that the amount of cations and amount of anions should be equal. So here in metabolic acidosis, the concentration of bicarbonate is decreased. So you should increase the chloride ions or other unmeasured anion so that the balance will be maintained. During this process, the decrease in the bicarbonate is not accompanied by increased chloride. The anion gap value will increase and referred as increased anion gap acidosis or normochloronic acid. Remember this thing? You are summing up the concentration of bicarbonate as well as chloride, and you are summing up concentration of sodium and potassium, and you are subtracting bicarbonate and chloride sum from the sodium potassium sum. So now here, to maintain the electrical neutrality, if the bicarbonate level is low, you should increase either chloride ion or you should increase other unmeasured anions. So body try to increase either chloride level or try to increase other unmeasured anions, such as I have given the example which are unmeasured anions and which are unmeasured cations. Anions are phosphates, sulfates, like this. So if this decrease in the bicarbonate level is not accompanied by increase in the chloride, then the anion gap values will increase. Yes or no? Because your bicarbonate is getting less and chloride are also not increasing. So naturally, the difference between these two things, sodium potassium ka sum and bicarbonate chloride ka sum. So if you take the difference between this will increase, because sodium potassium values are almost normal. Here bicarbonate is decreasing and chloride is not also increasing. So what will happen? The difference between these two sums will increase, and what is the result? You have increased anion gap acidosis, where the chlorides are normal. The body has not increased the chloride levels. So this particular thing is also called as HAGMA, that is high anion gap metabolic acidosis. HAGMA. So in the Kevin Viva, we may ask you the reasons of high anion gap metabolic acidosis. So these are the reasons. At least one or two you should be able to write. Best thing you can remember is renal failure, ketosis, and lactic acidosis. These things you know. Other than this, you have salicylate ingestion, amino acid ureas, organic acid ureas, methanol intoxication, and drugs such as corticosteroids and all those things. If you take those things, you will have metabolic acidosis, but this metabolic acidosis is associated with high anion gap. So routinely, ketosis, you know, diabetic ketoacidosis, that thing you should be able to remember, that ketosis associated with diabetes or ketosis associated with the starvation, that you know well, because you have done a different test on the urine sample or Rotheras test to see whether ketone bodies are present, and your interpretation should be uncontrolled diabetes or starvation. So this diabetic ketoacidosis is high anion gap metabolic acidosis. Have you understood the concept of high anion gap metabolic acidosis? metabolic acidosis is there because of the uncontrolled diabetes. Why high anion gap? Because here bicarbonates are decreasing, but chlorides are not increasing. So you have normal chloride, while decrease in the bicarbonate is there. And the difference between this sum of sodium potassium with the sum of bicarbonate chloride, this difference is increasing, and that's why you say that it is a high anion gap metabolic acidosis. So remember this thing. This can be asked in the keeping viva, but this you should write if you get a short note on anion gap. You should get a you get the short note on anion gap. You should write this thing also. Then second type of metabolic acidosis with respect to anion gap is normal anion gap, where if plasma bicarbonate is decreased in the metabolic acidosis, it is accompanied by increase in the chloride ion. Understood. And if you have decreased bicarbonate but increase in chloride, that means the sum will remain almost same and the anion gap remains the normal thing. There is no increase in the anion gap. But here the condition is increased chlorides, and this is hyperchloremic metabolic acidosis or normal anion gap acidosis. So this can be a MCQ question. Hyperchloremic metabolic acidosis is also called as 1, 2, 3, 4, and one option will be normal anion gap acidosis or vice versa can be there. So remember this thing, and these are the conditions which are associated with the normal anion gap metabolic acidosis, and this is diarrhea, intestinal fistula, renal tubular acidosis. Four different types of renal tubular acidosis are there, but here details of these different types of renal tubular acidosis not expected. At least you should be able to tell that renal tubular acidosis is the normal anion gap metabolic acidosis. Got it? So the different things are there. You have diarrhea, intestinal fistula, RTA, carbonic anhydrase inhibitor, sorry, erythrosigmoidomastomy, and then drugs, different types of drugs are there, which may lead to normal anion gap metabolic acidosis. So names of these diseases, if you know, is sufficient for you people. Again, I have given a chart just to remember this thing. So diabetic ketoacidosis and lactic acidosis, these two things you should remember well in increased anion gap metabolic acidosis, and normal anion gap metabolic acidosis, diarrhea, pancreatitis, and renal tubular acidosis. These things you should remember. This is a significance. Anion gap is a biochemical tool which sometimes helps in assessing acid-base problem, and it is used for a diagnosis of different causes of metabolic acidosis. So basically, for diagnosis of different types of metabolic acidosis, this entity is very useful. Now, this is how you can approach a patient with acid-base disturbances. First of all, you should see whether acidemia is there or alkalemia is there, whether it is acidosis or alkalosis. Then this is metabolic or respiratory. Second step that you should do is whether this acidosis or alkalosis metabolic or respiratory. This acidosis alkalosis can be seen with the help of pH. More or less, you will have this thing. If the pH is more, it is alkalosis. If it is less, then it is acidosis. If bicarbonate levels are changed, then it is metabolic. If PCO2 levels are changed, then it is respiratory. If respiratory, whether it is acute or chronic, depending on the values of PCO2, you can see, tell that there is whether it is acute or chronic. In metabolic acidosis, if metabolic acidosis is there, calculate the anion gap, see whether it is high anion gap metabolic acidosis or normal anion gap metabolic acidosis. Then see the compensatory changes which are associated with these disturbances. Then decide whether a simple disorder or mixed disorder. Means sometimes what happens is, if you have metabolic acidosis and patient is hyperventilating, this hyperventilation may land up into respiratory alkalosis. So it forms a mixed disorder where metabolic acidosis is the first thing, and secondary to metabolic acidosis, patient develops respiratory alkalosis. And now you have to do the clinical judgment, then form the treatment, and then monitor the treatment, manage the patient like this. With the help of this, you can do. Now, this is all about for the important things related to anion gap and various diseases. Now, what we will do is we will see certain case studies, and we will I will give you certain ABG report also to interpret. Remember, it's very easy. This topic is very easy. Don't take tension regarding these things. This particular case study. So one thing you should remember that these case studies I am giving you as an example. It is not that these are the case studies which will be asked during practical examination. So like this is a sample thing. So like this, you can have the case studies during practical examination. So if you see the case study is, medical student volunteered a sample of arterial blood for a hematological experiment in physiology lab. The tutor took some time to explain the procedure to the class, and during this time, student become increasingly anxious. So now patient is having anxiety and start complaining of tingling, numbness or tingling feeling in his fingers and toes while the blood is being drawn. Now, this is the routine thing which is associated when you are doing first time in the hematological lab of physiology, this sample collection practical. So there, the person is having anxiety, and that's why he has complaining of tingling numbness in the fingers and toes during the blood collection. And following are the investigations done. The blood pH found to be 7.5. Plasma bicarbonate level is found to be 24, and PCO2 is found to be 25. So these are the things which are given to you. So the question will be, what is your comment? So such type of thing we can keep as a thing during KBN Viva. So here you have to elaborate, you have to analyze the case and then give the answer. What is your comment? But the meaning is, what do you think? This is case of what? This is a case of which thing? Acid-base imbalances, and that too acidosis or alkalosis and all those things. So anxiety is there in the patient, and this arterial sample is taken, and you have pH 7.5. If the pH is 7.5, normal is 7.4, or so to say 7.45. Now it is more, so your answer should be what? Acidosis or alkalosis? It should be alkalosis. So this plasma bicarbonate level, it is normal is 20 to 30, it is 24. So it is normal. So it cannot be metabolic thing, isn't it? Here you have changes in the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. So it should be a respiratory cause. So it is a case of respiratory alkalosis. Now see, these reference ranges that I have given to you, these ranges are different in different books and in different kits also, where the in the lab also, in different lab, different company ka kit they use, no? That's why the slightest changes will be there. That's why during practical examination, what we are giving is always we are giving the reference ranges, and it is very easy for you to compare the thing with the values that you have obtained after investigation. So stepwise you have to approach the patient. First of all, you have to see for the blood pH, it is more. So it is a case of alkalosis. Here plasma bicarbonate level is normal, within normal range. So there is no question of metabolic thing. But the PCO2 levels are decreased. So it is a respiratory thing. Got it? So in this way you have to approach the case. So increase in the blood pH and low PCO2 indicates the student is becoming alkalotic. It is a case of respiratory alkalosis. Remember this thing. pH is increased, PCO2 is less, so it is respiratory alkalosis. So this explanation you should be able to give when you are appearing for the examination. Low PCO2 is a result of anxiety-induced hyperventilation. What do you mean by that? If the patient is under stress or the patient is anxious, he will start hyperventilating. The rate and depth of the respiration will increase, and due to this, as a result of this hyperventilation, the PCO2 values will decrease. So this is a case of respiratory alkalosis, and in a short period of time compensation is not happened over there, and this tingling numbness is due to decline the calcium ion levels, which is common in alkalosis. So this explanation you should be able to tell. So such type of cases we can keep you, so you should be able to explain the case well. Second is, a person presents himself with untreated diabetes mellitus and is treated for acidosis. So clear cut is a case of metabolic acidosis. Yes or no? Diabetes mellitus, metabolic acidosis, because here the bicarbonate. So here following are the questions. No? Such type of cases we will keep for the spots where n number of questions are there. No? So this type of case we can keep it as a spot. Each question carries certain marks. So here you should be able to diagnose the thing, which type of acidosis. Then what is a normal bicarbonate and carbonic acid ratio, 20:1. What will happen to the ratio in this patient? What will happen to the patient if the patient is with acidosis? The ratio will increase or decrease. You have decrease in the bicarbonate, so the ratio will. What will happen to the ratio? Anyone? How will compensation? No doubt, it is a metabolic acidosis. But what will happen to the ratio? That is 20:1 ratio should be maintained, no, for bicarbonate to carbonic acid. Here, when the metabolic thing is there, bicarbonate will change. And when acidosis is there, level of bicarbonate is decreased. So if the bicarbonate is less, carbonic acid is normal, the ratio will increase or decrease?
Decrease.
So how will compensation occur? This answer to this question is compensation is by three ways, either by buffer system or by respiratory system or by kidney. Buffer, so this particular entity will change. For respiratory system, you have hyperventilation, and for kidney, the reabsorption of bicarbonate will increase and secretion of H plus ion will increase. What will happen to secretion of H plus ion? More and more H plus ions will be excreted out of the body, isn't it? This way you should be able to explain, and this role of kidney I already told you. So this metabolic acidosis case of this particular thing is a normal ratio, it will decrease. The compensation is by hyperventilation, and what does kidney do? It will excrete more of H plus ion, it will reabsorb more of bicarbonate, and in the urine you will have titrable acids in the form of ammonium chloride and acid phosphate. So this is a Kevin Mayo question, which all acids are present in the urine when the patient is suffering from acidosis. The acids are in the form of ammonium chloride and acid phosphate. Always remember this thing. This is a third case study. In this case, again, all these parameters which are investigated, what all things you get, and what are the reference values. These things we will give you. So 60-year-old man brought to the hospital in semi-conscious state. Now the patient is semi-conscious. Remember this thing. Patient have hyperventilatory breathing. Patient have hyperventilation. So hyperventilation, when it is there, you should, which thing you come to your mind? It should be metabolic acidosis, or so to say, you can say acidosis. In acidosis only hyperventilation is there. Sweetish odor and feeble pulse. Sweetish odor to the breathing. So this is due to in the breath, the air which is expelled out, you have something which will give sweet odor. Which is that thing? Which will give sweet odor to the breathing, expired air?
Ketone bond.
That to acetone. That to acetone. So acetone will give sweet odor to the air which is being expired out of the body. You have hyperventilation. So ketones are there, hyperventilation is there, patient is semi-conscious state. All these things is there with blood pH which is 7.1. It is acidosis. You have bicarbonate which is a decrease. If bicarbonate is affected, then it is a case of metabolic thing. So you have this acidosis and the metabolic thing. So it is metabolic acidosis, and that too due to this sweet odor is there due to the ketones, and this ketone can be this blood sugar which is 550 milligram %. Normal is less than 140. So you have uncontrolled diabetes with PCO2 normal, with bicarbonate decrease, and with blood pH decrease. So decrease in the blood pH, acidosis, bicarbonates are affected, so metabolic. Respiratory factor is not there, and this metabolic acidosis is due to the high levels of blood sugar. So in this way, step by step, you should approach to the patient. So whenever case is given in your hand, read the thing which is given initially very carefully, and the answer is in these things only. And along with that, to support your diagnosis, you have these investigation parameters. So whenever you are approaching the ABG report or a case study related to acid-base disturbances, first of all, see the blood pH, see the level of bicarbonate, and see the level of PCO2. PCO2 represents carbonic acid. Remember this thing. And changes in PCO2 is respiratory, changes in bicarbonate metabolic. And if sugar is there, so directly it is uncontrolled diabetes. And here again, One thing is there, urinary Benedict test is positive and Rothera's test is positive. Rothera's test is for ketone bodies. Benedict's test is for presence of glucose or sugar. So both the things are there in the urine. So it is a classical case of metabolic acidosis, and different questions are there, and these are the explanation. I have already explained the thing. So it is untreated severe diabetes because blood sugar is more. So it's a diabetic ketoacidosis, a classical example of metabolic acidosis, elevated blood sugar level. Sweet odor to the breath is due to the presence of acetone in exhaled air. PCO2 is normal, so it is compensated by hyperventilation, and there is no role of respiratory thing in it. Bicarbonate is low, so it's a non-respiratory acidosis. Remember this thing, it is metabolic thing. So in this way, you should be able to think. Now these are the few reports. Just reports we can keep for the cabin fever and for the spots also here. Other than the things that are given in the last case studies, oxygen saturation and PCO2. These things are also given. This base excess thing is given, but there is no need to go into details of this base excess. But you can read in the books due to short period of time. I will not be able to explain the thing well. If you have any query regarding the base excess, I will explain later on. But here just remember, again pH is there, bicarbonate is there, PCO2 is there, and oxygen saturation is there. So here the question will be interpret the following blood gas parameters. What is your probable diagnosis? And mention the compensatory mechanism if any. So here normal ranges they are not given to you. So normal ranges you should know, it is 22 to 26 milliequivalent per liter for bicarbonate. Oxygen saturation should be almost 100%, 95 will be considered as an average thing. PCO2 is what? How much PCO2 should be there? Parameter, how much it should be there? Okay.
40
40 to 45 you can say. This is the normal thing.
mmHg.
Yes. So this is a case of compensated metabolic acidosis. Why compensated metabolic acidosis? The level of bicarbonate is changed, so it is a metabolic. pH is less than 7.4, so it is a acidosis. No, this is compensated. 7.35 is considered as the lower normal limit. 7.35 to 7.45. Are you getting me? But 7.4 is considered as a normal thing. It is slightly less than 7.4. So we call it as a compensated. So maybe the pH is still less than this value, but due to compensatory mechanisms, the body tried to restore the thing towards the normal because oxygen saturation is almost normal. So like this, you should be able to explain. See, interpretation of this particular thing, compensatory mechanism का part examiner very rarely asks you. Only thing is that you should be able to detect whether it is acidosis or alkalosis, the basic thing, whether it is metabolic or respiratory. If you answer this, if this is for 5 marks, you will get 3 marks definitely. And then if compensation is there, no, this little bit complicated and tricky thing. And this, if you are able to answer, 5 out of 5. If it is not, 3 to 4 marks definitely you will give if you diagnose the case as acidosis, alkalosis, or metabolic or respiratory. This thing is sure. So don't take tension regarding this compensated part of thing. This is a case of compensated metabolic acidosis. Although there is an initial fall of pH, it becomes normal after compensation. What I have told you is this. This thing you can appreciate. Bicarbonate level are very less, but if you see the pH, it is towards 7.4. No doubt 7.35 is considered as a lower normal limit of the blood pH. But here it is towards, for practical purposes, we considered it as a 7.4 as normal thing. It is towards the 7.4. So why? Because the patient has compensated the change in the pH. That's why it is called as a compensated metabolic acidosis. Bicarbonates are low, base excess is decreased, and is compensated by hyperventilation. Always remember, whenever acidosis is there, it is compensated initially by hyperventilation, and then compensatory mechanisms related to kidney will come into picture. Similarly, you have 7.7 as the blood pH more, that is alkalosis, bicarbonate, oxygen saturation, PCO2, base excess. So these things are there. Again, this is a case of uncompensated metabolic alkalosis. This is because pH, bicarbonate, and base excess, all these are raised. This is the case of metabolic thing because you have change in the bicarbonate. You have alkalosis. Remember this thing. So I will not repeat it again and again. You go through this interpretation the reports on how to interpret the thing. And if you have any query regarding this interpretation, you can any time give me a call or you can ask me on the WhatsApp also. One book is there called as Rafi. If you go through that particular book, in the last pages of the acid-base balance topic, you have n number of cases with explanation, and you have n number of reports, ABG reports for interpretation. So if you practice those things, it will be easier for you to do. If you don't have the book, Rafi, you can ask me. I do have with me. I can give the pictures of that pages where the cases and interpretation reports are there, BG reports are there. So thank you all of you. We will stop over here. This topic is very important.